he knew everybody's shoes. He knew what shoes you had when you were in like 6th grade.
Yeah, he remembered every pair of shoes that everyone wore that he knew.
It was amazing. I remember running into him at the bar at Pizza D. And so this would have had to have been 20 years since we were in junior high. And he rattled off like all the shoes I wore in 8th grade. I mean, just
like every pair,
what they had.
What were some of them?
He goes, oh man, you had them nice Nike Air Force 2s, the green ones. Remember those? I was like, yeah. And he goes, and you had those Adidas high tops too. I like those Adidas. Yeah. And I think you had those Reeboks. And then he looked at me and goes, I bet you wish you was a pirate.
I bet you wish you were a pirate.
He just out of the blue. He's like, I bet you just wish you was a pirate.
Seth, I'm just incredibly delighted to be able to have you here, even with these weird conditions, to be able to talk about TC and junior high. You're basically the representative of Pulaski Heights Junior High for TC's story.
Oh, no.
Because I had no idea some of the stories that you have about TC, as well as I don't have stories from so many people, which is one of the reasons why we're doing these podcast conversations, is to talk about our lives and TC's life, and so that we establish, exactly who TC was to everyone.
Well, man, I appreciate you letting me be a part of this. This is really, really cool. My name's Seth Shrider. I went to junior high with TC at Pulaski Heights Junior High. We were in the wonderful auditorium where one of my fondest childhood memories happened, which was a talent show. That was when I first met TC. We always talked about shoes. Any pair of shoes you ever owned that he saw, he remembered them. And he would just bring up shoes. I mean, that's just one of the wonderful things about him.
This is a perfect thing to start the conversation about, because that is my first memory of TC, is just seeing him on those steps next to what I always assumed was an outdoor racquetball court.
Yeah, that's exactly, I know what you're talking about.
And he was sitting on those stairs there, and he was putting white out on his white shoes. He was any place that had scuffs, he was whiting out and cleaning up his shoes. Like he had one shoe off and he was working on it.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, who does that? Who with their shoes at school? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the last thing you want to bring attention to is your shoes right now, man. Because not only were shoes such a huge thing, and like when I was able to finally get, a pair that wasn't Three Stripe Buddies, and I finally got a real pair of high tops. I still wasn't at Nike level, I honestly, I'm still not. Back then it was Converse. I had the Converse, but they're the leather ones.
Yeah.
The leather cons, and I thought that was hot because nobody had those, and mom said we could afford them.
Yeah.
So that was the jam. But then still, even if you got your shoes, your pants weren't right.
Brother, you're telling my story. Everything you felt, I know 100% what you're talking about. I'll never forget the summer between 7th and 8th grade. I knew the shoes I wanted. They were Eastlands.
Yeah.
They were these,
everybody rocked those.
I wanted some Eastlands. I wanted a Swatch because everybody had a Swatch. I wanted a Varney t-shirt. Yes. You remember the Varney t-shirts?
Yeah, dude.
And I wanted a pair of Levi's 501s, but I wanted them tapered, like actually taken to a tailor. And tapered.
So you didn't tight roll them yourself?
No.
Have them done?
So I finagled and worked and got all of those things. I checked all those boxes. Yeah. And I remember walking into school, Pulaski Heights in 8th grade, thinking, this is it. I have arrived.
Yeah.
And none of that was cool anymore.
Yeah. Right.
Now, the tapered pants were really cool, but the problem was there was the only pair I had, and I wore them every day.
Right.
And so I ripped the knee. I'll never forget, it was the right knee ripped, and it just got bigger and bigger. And then I was at lunch one day, and somebody called me out. They were like, dude, do you have like 5 pairs of jeans that are all ripped in the exact same place? And I was like, no.
Just wearing the same ones
every day because I need y'all to like me.
That's right.
So I know what that felt like, man. And it's
dude.
the problem for me is that I built my self-worth on that.
Oh yeah, me too.
on all of that. And it kind of makes me think about someone like TC who he was just himself.
He absolutely was.
He just didn't care.
I wanted all those things,
Mm-hmm.
and I hung out with a small crew of a few weird friends, and none of us were popular at all. But my longing to be in that popular crowd made even my closest friends pick on me because I wanted to be like that.
And it didn't help that we went to the school where all the kids who lived in the Heights, that was their school district.
Oh yeah.
Because let's just be honest, that was really kind of what we're basing our our sense of self-worth is. What are the kids in the Heights doing?
Sure. And I love all those people now.
100%.
And they became a great group of people. Oh my God. But back then they were what my friend Summers Matthews calls Heights brats.
They were
just Heights brats.
Yeah. I don't want to judge anybody today based on how they treated me in 1986.
No doubt.
Because I will tell you, I sure as hell don't want anybody judging me.
Right.
Yo, this is my homeboy. It's my homeboy, Forehead B.
Forehead.
Yo, and my boy Forehead B. Oh wait, no.
No. Yeah. 70 cuts.
Yo, we making a rap
making
video.
movies,
Tell him to chill. We making a video. Man, what's up, man?
Remember the Brian Paul Jeremy tape now?
Yo, man, we're making a video, man.
We're 13, 14 years old, man. Like that's super young. You're just starting to figure stuff out. You're just starting to not be a child.
Yeah.
I was a library monitor.
Really?
I was a library monitor for like 7th and 8th grade, and then in 8th grade there was a huge thing to me in my life, but just a really small thing, I'm sure, in the administrative part of Pulaski Heights. But I was let go. I was dismissed from being a library monitor. They fired me, and they fired me because an entire box of Sharpies came up missing. Like a 12-pack box of Sharpies left the inventory, and they knew that I always used a Sharpie. There's
Junior high
few people.
scapegoat.
Yeah, and so I lost my job for Sharpies I didn't steal. I loved being a library monitor. But I mean, that didn't stop me from my number one income earner, which was selling blow pops.
Dude.
I'd stop by every morning at that 5 and Dime in Hillcrest where the post office is.
Buy them for a nickel, sell them for a quarter?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I buy an entire box of them, of 100.
Mm-hmm.
And so by lunchtime, I've got $25, and so I'm buying square pizzas and milks for everybody.
How did we not run across each other? Because I got in trouble for the exact same thing. I would buy noun laters for a nickel and then sell them for a quarter.
Hell yeah.
And got called into the office.
Who busted you?
Somebody ratted me out. And they called my dad. And of course my dad, when we acted mad there and we got home, and he was like, so that's like a 500% markup.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
It's pretty good. I sold blow pops for years. Like I sold them like 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th grade. I did not quit until I got caught, and it was Mr. Booth.
Oh,
Mr. Booth had my number. I mean,
but they switched.
He wasn't even my guy.
Exactly,
Mr. Lincoln's my guy.
I was a Lincoln kid too, in which you got in no trouble with Mr. Lincoln.
Mr. Booth is A through L, and Lincoln is M through Z. All right, and so also it wasn't until I was an adult that I realized how important it was that we had one disciplinary principal named Booth, one disciplinary principal named Lincoln.
They never went to plays together.
Mr. Booth and Mr. Lincoln. But Mr. Lincoln was cool. Like if I went into Mr. Lincoln's office, he was there playing Atari, and he would just tell me like, hey, have a seat, you can go to your next period, because he'd know that a lot of times I just got sent down there for the same thing. So what's he going to talk to me about? I never saw Mr. Booth. And so just one day in the hallway, I just sold some to this girl, and Mr. Booth goes, Michael Poe, get over here. And I said, yes, sir. And he said, Michael Poe, man, you ain't selling those blow pops for any clubs. And I was like, clubs? And he's like, yeah. He's like, who you selling those blow pops for? And I was like, I'm selling them for me. I always sell blow pops.
Mike Poe Incorporated.
He's like, you don't sell blow pops here, man. We only sell the world's finest chocolates when we do a school program. You know, like you can't sell these, man. And so he took the box, and it was like still half full. He took the box away from me. Well, this dude kept that in his desk, that box of blow pops. And I got in fights often, and a lot of times it was with people with the last names A through L. So I find myself in his office, and he would always give them blow pops and eat a blow pop while I was in his office and talk about, oh, this is from Mr. Poe. You know, like he wants to give you this blow pop, don't you, Michael Poe? You know, even if I was tardy and I was like really in a panic at the counter, he could see from his office that countertop and see me, and I'd hear that desk slide out, and he'd grab a blow pop and open it up and just be sucking on the blow pop just to get my attention and be like, Michael Poe, you late today? You late? And I'm like, yeah, I'm late. Like, why else am I in the office, 15 minutes after class started? Like, of course I am. I had to stop and get my blow pops.
Yeah. I got to re-up.
Yeah.
I like to rap. That's something that I could actually do back then, because also you got to remember rap was pretty basic in the 80s anyway, so it wasn't like it is now. So we were doing poetry, and the teacher asked if we would take the tape recorder outside and just rap a poem, and then she could play it back for the class. And so we did that, and then we flipped the tape over on the other side and then did probably the filthiest dirty rap I could come up with in the 10 minutes we were out there. I mean, it was pretty bad.
All right, here I go. Check it out, he's B, and I'm X, commonly known for getting the beats, treating them right, like Kentucky Fried, yeah, rocking the night. Bill's got the beat as we break it on down. The funky boys, yes, and the white sound, gonna rock the place, gonna do it non-stop, all the way to the top.
Wasn't that lovely? Wasn't that lovely? That was spontaneous, by the way.
And flipped the tape back over, took it in, she played it, loved the poem, we got good grades. That was it. Then we forgot about it. I transferred to Forest Heights the next year. So, new 8th grade class comes in, same poetry module they were doing, she decides to play that tape for the class, except she plays the wrong side. And from what I hear, it played for like a long time, like she couldn't get it stopped. And it was awful. And not only did Patrick get in trouble, but it was so bad that they called Forest Heights and tried to get me in trouble at another school for it. Like, they called my dad, and my dad was like, okay, statute of limitations, I don't know, what are we doing here? That was it. I mean, I was a good kid. I got in trouble for talking. I was just one of those. I wasn't real disrespectful unless I was, doing filthy, awful raps on your tape recorder for your lesson plans for the following year. I tried football the first week in 7th grade. You gotta understand, never played football in my entire life. I was always a soccer, basketball guy. So, a little bit of contact, but not a lot of contact. Put the pads on. They were going to play me at receiver. And it was Coach Kennedy. Coach Kennedy. And he told me to run over the middle. Mm-hmm. He caught, I don't even remember what he called it. I had to ask him, I go, what do you mean? And he's like, you run 10 yards here and turn right. So I ran 10 yards, turned right, caught it. Little did I know that there was a position called linebacker who loved, their job was to knock the shit out of you if you caught the ball. Right. And so I got lit up. Oh, yeah. And I remember I caught the ball and I kept it. I mean, I made the catch. And everybody was clapping and the coach was like, great job. And I got up and I did not acknowledge anybody. I started walking off the field. And he goes, where are you going? And I was like, I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. Yeah. And he was like, get back here. And I was like, oh, hell no.
And that was it for real?
I took my helmet off. I took everything off on the field. And I was like, I'm not doing this.
Oh, they knocked the hell out of you.
I was like, no. And
I always was the kid that fought the neighborhood bully. Looking back on it as an adult, it's like, did I do that to establish myself as the bully? Yeah. Did I become the bully doing that, or was I seen as righteous? I don't even know.
I'm going to probably say righteous because, as you and I both well know, I think our first interaction ever was the best 2 out of 3.
Yeah.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday after school fight.
I don't know to this day exactly what we were fighting about. You know?
I think I have a pretty good memory.
Tell me
about stuff like this. I'm pretty sure, and this is how you know I'm going to be honest, because I am totally the and the villain in this story. 100%. But I know we walked home together with a group of people, and it was really, I don't remember what started it, but I have a pretty good feeling that it was me being a bully. It was me not feeling good enough towards the people I wanted attention from, and I completely looked at you as, oh, well, this is a guy I can mess with Mike.
Right.
I can do this with impunity.
Sure.
And so I instigated it, and then the first day, like we had talked about, I think I got a pretty good shot in.
Oh yeah.
Pretty good punch in, and they separated us.
You got a phenomenal shot in. I got actually, the word is clocked. Like you gave me a cross across the jaw that knocked a filling out.
Ugh.
And it was the first time I had ever gone to the dentist. And so it was fresh. It was like from the day before. And so when that happened, and I just wrenched my neck, I went for you with everything. And then I was grabbed, you were grabbed, it was broke up. So you just got that one great punch in, and that was the end of the fight, and so that was it for that day. And then the next day, that's when you came at me with that same punch.
Yes.
And I have probably at least 50 times since then, because everybody comes with the right hook, have grabbed the wrist, put it around behind that person's back, and put them to the ground, just like I had learned in self-defense class. And I got on top of you.
And when you did that, I remember distinctly what went through my head. I'm not able to get up. I couldn't get up. I could not get you off of me. I'm super claustrophobic. And all I could think to do was start screaming, I'm allergic to grass. Get off of me. I'm allergic to grass.
Seriously, dog, seriously, I'm not with you. I'm serious, man.
That's even Teeter can get that up.
No, I'm not really get up. I'm in a pro position. Get it off me.
I can curl that.
You remember that too.
I absolutely do.
And so that is, once again, hi camera, not my finest moment.
Yeah, that's actually but I thought in my head, man, if this kid is going to use I'm allergic to grass, that's so sad. I need to let him up. He's willing to say I'm allergic to grass to get out of this. So just back off. You're being the right now, and everybody sees you.
And we never did have the third.
Well, the third day.
Did we have the third one?
The third day, one of your buddies showed up with a backpack that had actual boxing gloves.
Oh, I remember that.
And he came up to me and he goes, Seth thinks he can take you boxing, but he doesn't feel like wrestling's fair. So I brought some gloves. If you're willing to meet us after school, we want to get this done. And I was like, oh yeah, 100%. We got to have it. And then we went way down Lee. We went a couple blocks down Lee in some old lady's yard. And I couldn't imagine what she was thinking, looking outside to check her hummingbird feeder. And there's 15 kids in her front yard, and 2 of them have on real boxing gloves.
Oh my God.
And we had two or three swings before she said she was calling the police. So that was just it.
Which is probably good, because I probably was exhausted.
Yeah. Oh,
after that.
I probably would have lost that day and myself is the way I felt. So I felt like we just broke even on those 3 days of fighting. But that was something I almost thought that I just imagined later. That was elementary school when we got into the fight.
Yeah.
And so moving forward, we're in junior high school, and now we're in the same junior high school as Stanley.
Yeah.
At the time, TC's name was Stanley before he changed his name.
Which baffled me when I saw him years later out, at Pizza D and just out in public. And I remember the first time I saw him, and I called him Stanley a couple of times, and he totally ignored me. And TC didn't make a lot of eye contact anyway, but I mean, you could just tell he was just not having it. And I had no idea what it was. And I didn't know for a couple of weeks that he went by TC.
If I asked him why he changed his name, the only thing he would ever reveal to me was that he just never felt like a Stanley. is what he said. I just never felt like a Stanley. And so his mom passed away in high school, and his dad had already taken off. Him and his 2 sisters were foster cared. So he went to the health department there in Markham to Vital Records and changed his name on his own. Somebody told him that's how you do it, and he walked down there and changed his name himself to TC, to Terry Charles Edwards instead of Stanley Charles Edwards. And there were several times he would think back to those days, and he would say, Stanley, Stanley. And so in my mind, that was like what he hated hearing. People used to ridicule him with his name. And so that was his way of like, I'm done with junior high school and I'm done with being a child. I'm Terry, you know, I'm Terry Edwards now. I'm TC.
We didn't have any idea about autism at that age. We had no idea about the spectrum. You know, we knew there were special needs kids who we never saw, but sparingly, and then there were everybody else. And so we knew TC was special needs, but didn't know it was autism.
So one reason we weren't able to get to know him as closely in junior high school is because back then they separated any special needs kids from the group. Yeah. And they had their own class together, which I guess was taught by Mr. Blessing, because that's who he said was his favorite teacher.
You know, I will say this because I think it needs to be said. I don't remember being mean directly to those kids, but I sure know that we were real dismissive, man. And I sure know that we were quick to laugh and quick to point. And, you know, I know we're kids, and I get that, but I always kind of think, how did that make him feel, you know? And I don't think I ever asked him that.
Were there any things that he said to you about like a type of cat you reminded him of, or a cartoon character? Because he told me I was like Beast Man. He's like, I bet you like Beast Man. I bet you probably like Castle Grayskull. You know, like you live there. Skeletor's your boss. It's like you're just a big orange tabby cat, Poe. And then another one would be like, Poe, you're like an angry cartoon Peach. You know, and so I had so many different nicknames from him. You know, I was wondering if you had.
He would pinch my elbow.
Yeah,
like that, and I found out he did this to a lot of people.
Oh yeah, everybody.
And he goes, "I bet you didn't know you got your mom's elbows."
You got your mom's elbows.
And I was like, "Well, first off, how do you know about my mom's elbows?"
Yeah,
but yeah, I don't honestly. I was kind of fuzzy my last real interactions with him, so I don't really remember specifics as much as just I don't know, just a feeling like it's 1:30. We're at Pizza D. You've called last call, and it was the last 30 minutes you were playing old Van Halen. I forget which song it was, and I just sat there and just watched TC sing the entire thing, and that's my memory. You know? But to be able to watch him and just like that joy, I mean, he was in the moment. He wasn't worrying about yesterday, or he wasn't worrying about tomorrow. You know, he was just in that 3 minutes of that song and just how much he loved it.
It was so authentic because, I mean, so many of us were into Motley Crue and Poison and Warren and all those bands 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. But everybody just kind of moved off from there.
Yeah.
It wasn't like I quit listening to them. I still listen to them. I still love that stuff. But we started to more become defined by our hip hop and rap, you know, by the Beastie Boys. You know, that was my first cassette, was the Beastie Boys' License to Ill.
Loved the Beastie Boys. We bought the record. That's how old we are. It's vinyl. And, man, that's all we listened to.
All right, here we go. Now, here's a little story with an added surprise. What happened to me, because then I got wise, cooling out, drinking stout, walking down my block, busting down my new suit. Yes, the fresh little cock. I get chicks every once in a while.
The talent show was 1987. It was in 8th grade. Kind of all looked at each other and were like, dude, Beastie Boys, we got to do it. They really put this talent show as a big deal. Like Coach Williams brought in like a really nice sound system. And so we were going to do Paul Revere. We got 2 girls to dance. Right. We had another kid put on like this creepy old man mask, and he breakdanced, and we had him breakdancing on the other side of the stage. Then we all got like Fila hats and Fila shirts and shell toe Adidas. I mean, we went all out, put a lot of thought and money into this.
Absolutely.
And so Paul Revere sounded really nice coming out of that sound system with that bass. Just boom, 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 boom. It sounded great. The crowd, everybody jumped up. I mean, we tore it up. It was amazing. I can remember standing there when it was over going, I want to do this all the time.
Were you guys actually rapping into the mic or lip synced?
We just lip synced it.
Oh, still cool.
And
still
it just had a blast. I wish there was a video of it to watch, but then I'm kind of glad there isn't, because the memory of it is probably way more fun than how it actually was. And so we killed them. We were done. Literally a standing ovation. They closed the curtain. We walked off. We came out and we all sat right there in those first 3 chairs in the front row to the left, just kind of basking in our glory. And then they go, and our last contestant is Stanley. Curtains open, and you just went from having 7 people on stage to just Stanley at the time, but just TC standing in the middle of the stage. We're like, what is he gonna do? He's just standing there, and he's got like a vest on and a t-shirt. He just looks like Stanley at lunch. And then I forget which Kiss song it was, but he commences to giving. I've never seen somebody give so much effort in lip syncing something. He did Paul Stanley's part, he did Gene Simmons' part, he did Ace Frehley's part, he did the drummer's part. He was all 4 of them at one time, if you can imagine that. He was just headbanging and tongue out and just running around. He was just all over the stage. First, everybody was kind of like, what is he doing? But as he was so committed, and you could just kind of tell he was in the moment and feeling it, it was infectious. And honestly, I think that's kind of sums TC up, really, is that he was just infectious. You know, he just kind of got under your skin in a good way. And I remember looking at Patrick, and he kind of looked at me, and we both just went, yeah, we're done. Let's enjoy second place, because there's no way we're beating that. Because, I mean, as much as everybody was up cheering for us, it was twice as loud and twice as many people standing up. And sure enough, like, yeah, he won.
No shit.
100%. And he should have won. I give kudos to our faculty, because I don't believe the student body voted on it. But either way, everybody recognized that the 3 white guys who had all the friends didn't need to win that. Believe me, he needed to win it, and he deserved it. I'm not saying that he got it because of who he was or anything like that. But I kind of think that was one of those cool moments where it worked out the way it was supposed to work out. When you see somebody do something and they're having fun, and you see them doing something that you're doing, I mean, you have to look at them differently. I mean, I don't want this to sound, I don't know any other way to put it, so if this sounds bad, I apologize. But it's almost like after that, I was like, yeah, that's a person. That's a person with emotions and likes and dislikes. That's a person with, they have feelings, wants, and all that. And he wasn't just, the kid who knew everybody's shoes. That was in line with all the other special needs kids. So where was I when I found out? I was at home. It was in the evening. And my wife actually saw it on Facebook. And she asked me, she goes, did you see what happened to TC? And I went, no. And I didn't think anything bad had happened. And she goes, I think he got killed. And then I got on, and I think I went to your page and found out. And I mean, let's be honest, it's not like TC and I were as close as you and TC were. It's not like TC and I were really close at all. But TC's that kind of person in Little Rock. He's an institution. And if you've met him, you kind of feel like you're friends. Even if you're technically, or if there's some kind of set of guidelines to say what is a friend and what isn't, you don't fit into that, but he was your friend. And when you know his story and you know that he's autistic, but you know that he's independent. You just know everything about him. Man, it's a gut punch. And I cried.
If you had not have told me the story about that talent show, it would have been lost. That story would be gone forever. I wouldn't have known that TC was the heavy metal Napoleon Dynamite of Pulaski Heights Junior High.
100%. Well, TC, I believe that we go somewhere else when we leave here. And I know you're there. And I bet you get to play quarterback every day. I get to listen to all the music you want to listen to. Man, there's a lot of people that miss you. You affected a lot of people's lives that you probably don't know. And you are a part of one of my most favorite and fondest memories I have of my youth. And man, I couldn't be more proud to be a part of this. And I just hope you're having a good time wherever you are.